Celebrate every day like it was New Year's. I'm gonna open my eyes like it was the first time. Let this miracle of life bring me alive. I'm gonna dance every time that I hear the birds sing. Wanna fly just as high, Jah, give me the wings. I am infinite potential and all that it brings. Love of the universe, luminous beings. We are love of the universe, luminous beings.
All right, and welcome to the podcast, Kaitlyn. It's great to have you.
Hi, thank you. It's great to be on here. This is super cool. I'm happy to talk to you.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess let's start off by getting to know a little bit about yourself. Do you have a mission in life or anything like that?
Yeah, I think I would say my mission is to inspire others to open themselves up to a spiritual and conscious lifestyle. And, you know, spirituality can be expressed in so many different ways, and I wouldn't even necessarily say to follow my way, but just, you know, being aware of yourself and your impact on this world and how you treat other people, and treating other people the way that you want to be treated. I feel like everyone can benefit from that. So yeah, I think to inspire people to just live in a more conscious way.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say are some of the ways that you do that through?
Talking about my spirituality in ways that are really down to earth, that other people can understand. I notice something that gets me a lot of the time, people trying to explain like these spiritual ideas in really complex ways where it almost seems like, you know, you have to get a dictionary out to understand what they're trying to say. So yeah, just sharing my real life experiences with others, how it's impacted me. Yeah, and just trying to relate to people on a level that they can understand, that is easy for everyone to understand.
And I've seen you at a few festivals. Mad Tea Party in specific is like music festivals and art festivals. Is that something that you attend to a lot?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I love music so much. I love to sing and I love to write lyrics. I love playing piano, even though I'm not super good at it yet. But music's always been a huge passion of mine. Art is something that I have such an admiration for, and I don't really do it myself. It's something that super confuses me, but I've always really, really loved it and really admired artists. But yeah, definitely love going to festivals. I love going out to see live music. I think it's totally my therapy.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And you also have a lot of really amazing photos. You're a model. I've seen you post stuff on Instagram.
Thank you. Yeah. So I actually got into modeling, I think I want to say about a little over 3 years ago. And originally because I'm really interested in acting in film. That's something that I really want to pursue, probably more than anything else, career-wise. And I felt like the two mediums were kind of just super similar, and I could make connections to it. And I have. So yeah, I do model. But I think the main focus that I'm trying to shift a lot of my energy towards is acting and trying to really make something out of that.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Well, I wish you all the best in that aspect of your life.
What was that?
I said I wish you all the best in that aspect of your life.
Thank you. Yeah. Hopefully things work out.
Mm-hmm, definitely. So I think one of the main topics we're going to focus on today is tarot and witchcraft. It's something that we haven't really discussed on the podcast, but it's something I want everybody to learn a little bit more about, because I think it can be misunderstood. Would you think that witchcraft and tarot are misunderstood?
Definitely. A lot of people. I've had people at shows when I'm reading tarot come up to me and tell me that I'm doing the devil's work and that what I'm doing is evil. And I kind of always dig that, because then I start talking to them and I can kind of share my personal experiences, find out what exactly makes them think that about tarot and witchcraft. And I usually feel pretty confident that they leave talking to me with a different perspective on it. But yeah, I like it when people tell me that they don't believe in that or that they think it's evil, because it just kind of gives me an opportunity to prove them wrong and to give them a different perspective, and hopefully, I don't know, just be a little more open-minded in the future.
Right.
But I think it's always a bad idea to get angry in response to that, or I don't know, try to bother someone. I feel like it's always nice to just be nice.
Right, I agree. Try to have an open mind and understand other people's perspectives.
Yeah.
So, what would you say exactly is witchcraft? Because I think there's a lot of people who maybe see on movies where they use a lot of hexes or stars or whatever. But what is it exactly?
I would say witchcraft is just setting an intention and focusing your energy towards that. So I feel like I see witchcraft all the time. I see it in religion. I see it, when you're doing a prayer before eating a meal with your family. I think it's practiced in so many ways that people don't really realize, and I don't even think you necessarily have to call it witchcraft. But that's my choice of words for it. But it's just a word that was given to something that I feel like everyone has been doing and everyone does in some type of way in their life. Interesting.
So I was going to say real quick, why do you think people, if they hear the word witchcraft just by itself, it's like, this is a really bad thing, but there's so many people who love Harry Potter and it's witchcraft and wizardry. So why would they be okay with that aspect, like that version of it, instead of just like, hey, I'm doing witchcraft. Oh, that's so bad.
Yeah. I think because everyone knows that Harry Potter's fake. So like, they tell themselves like, oh, well, like they're doing these crazy magic spells that could never happen in real life. Movie. And so I think like when it becomes a reality, that kind of freaks people out a little bit. The idea of someone actually manipulating them in some way. People are usually afraid that you're going to do something to them. Like I've had people be like, oh, don't cast a spell on me. I'm like, I'm not going to. I don't even know if that's like possible. But yeah. And I kind of feel like Harry Potter has opened more people up to the idea of practicing witchcraft, because I know that I grew up reading all of those books, obsessing over them, wanting so bad to go to Hogwarts, and I definitely feel like my initial interest in witchcraft probably stemmed from that, just like this childhood fantasy of wanting to be a witch and wanting to have these magical powers so bad. And I've talked to a couple other people who feel the same way.
I would love to be a wizard. I mean, I do consider myself a wizard, cool. But I think the more open-minded that we can be towards things, the more possibilities that we have to make life better.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Cool. So let's switch over to tarot. What is tarot?
Tarot, I would say it's half psychological and totally like half mystical too. Each card in the deck has a different energy towards it. Some of the cards are really, really similar. So basically, you pull a card, ask a question, or don't, kind of just allow yourself to just meditate on whatever you get. And then your brain kind of starts to connect the dots about whatever that energy or meaning of the card was into something in your life. So a lot of the time I feel like it's just pulling something out of your subconscious, but when you start using tarot cards all the time for yourself, there's like no doubt that there is some kind of crazy, mystical, sometimes trickster energy to it.
So do you think that you get a lot of solid guidance from using tarot?
Definitely. Yeah. It's, sometimes I feel like, the answers are really vague because it's something that I'm supposed to figure out on my own. But for the most part, with like really, really important things, like particularly relationship issues, it's pretty much always dead on. Yeah.
Do you have any specific, experience, or maybe like a story, any kind of specific story where you did yourself a reading and it was like exactly how it came to be? Yeah.
So I was dating someone and I was just getting like really weird vibes about him, like he was acting differently, and I decided to do a reading about it. And I guess like where it was going from there, something I needed to watch out for. And the first card I flipped over was Two of Cups reversed, which literally means breaking up. And then we broke up. But I've also read tarot for a couple at a show once, and the girl got a reading first, really loved it, then her boyfriend got one, and then they came up to me and they were like, can you do a reading on us together as a couple? And I was like, I don't really know how I feel about that. It kind of puts me in a weird spot, but sure. And then their future was that same card, that same breakup card. And I didn't even tell them. They were so cute. I felt so bad. I kind of just said, I sensed differences in the future and bumps in the road that you'll have to like figure out together. But yeah, I wonder what happened to them. I don't know. I never saw them again.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty much anytime people come to me with a relationship issue, like if they're dating someone and unsure about it, you'll see really, really intense cards somewhere in the spread. Because, you know, when you spend so much time with somebody, especially the wrong somebody, you're taking all of their energy in, and a lot of the time it doesn't mesh well with yours. It could be toxic. I don't know, a bad relationship can really ruin people's lives. So I feel like it's super vital to end them when they get toxic for each other. But yeah, pretty much anytime someone does a relationship reading for me where they're really wondering if they need to be with that person, I'll either see the Three of Swords, which is like this heart with 3 swords stabbed in it. It means heartbreak and pain and separation. The Two of Cups reversed, which means like a couple separating. Or a 10 of Swords, which is someone dead with just like 10 swords stabbed in them. It's really brutal looking.
Yeah, sounds pretty brutal.
What?
I said it sounds pretty brutal.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
Cool. So, would you say there's been any kind of moments where you've not wanted to know anything? Like, is there ever a time where you're like, I could do this right now, but I'd prefer not to know?
As I've started using it more, like as my practice has progressed, I've pretty much gotten to that point. When I first started reading for myself, it was like multiple times a day about everything, every little thing that was going on. And I would ask like the same question over and over again, and it kind of like loses its value, I would say. When you're doing it all the time, you know, I feel like you need to figure out some stuff on your own, and you shouldn't just be relying on a deck of cards for all your answers in life. So for me, my tarot practice, I pull 2 cards one from the Thoth deck and one from the Deviant Moon deck. In the beginning of each week, on full moons, I'll do like a spread for them with my Deviant Moon deck. I'll do that on new moons too, on astrological transits. So like if Mercury moves into a new sign, then I'll do a reading for that and kind of how it'll affect me personally. But other than that, I try to keep my tarot limited, unless it's something that's like really, really vital and really kind of driving me crazy, and I can see it like stressing me out in my life a lot. Then I'll do a spread about it. But I try to figure stuff out on my own, right, for the most part.
Yeah, it can be important. How did you get into tarot? That's such like a unique thing to get into. I believe I also saw that like you used to go to the Catholic Church, so to rose up as a Catholic, and then I'm interested to know how you got into tarot.
I did. So my mom actually gave me my first deck when I was probably like 11, because she just thought it would be something I'd be interested in. I was brought up Catholic, but my parents are super open-minded. I think for the most part, they just wanted me to have that, spiritual mindset in my life. And like once I was confirmed to the Catholic Church, they didn't really care if I kept going. I think they just kind of wanted a positive influence, and I feel like it was positive for me for the most part. Okay. But my mom gave me my first deck when I was 11, and then someone else gave me one when I was like 14, and I never really messed with it. I messed with it like once and manipulated the deck so that the worst card showed up for my friend for a reading and scared the crap out of her. But I never really used it besides that because I thought it was something really difficult. And then when I was 19, I ended my first serious relationship and was like pretty distraught over it. Like it was my choice, but really hard, and I didn't want to do it and was really upset. But I turned to tarot because I just needed some kind of guidance to ensure myself that I was making the right decision. And I was just totally amazed with how spot on it was about everything with myself and other things about my life, and just became obsessed and started doing it all the time, giving my friends readings all the time. And like, I want to say like a year and a half later, I started reading at shows for other people professionally. Yeah.
Nice. And do you think there's a beginner tarot deck? Like if somebody first gets into it, is there any kind of specific deck that they should go for?
Yeah, I would recommend the Rider-Waite. That's what I started with. My first 2 decks that were given to me were both Rider-Waite. But pretty much every tarot deck, like all the popular ones, everything is kind of based around this tarot deck. So it's pretty much like the original tarot deck. And when you know that in and out really, really well, it's super easy to pick up any other deck and just know it. And it's really good for studying symbolism and just kind of getting yourself accustomed to that. Yeah, I don't have a Rider-Waite in my possession anymore, actually. My last one that I was using like every single day for the most part, all of a sudden it stopped letting me shuffle it. It's really weird, but I would try to do the bridge thing and the cards just would not go into each other. I don't know why, but I got this feeling that it just wasn't mine anymore. And so I gave it to a friend who had been looking for a tarot deck for a while. And then the very next day, someone gave me the Deviant Moon tarot deck. And that's been like a super crazy, weird spiritual connection with that deck ever since. And I use it all the time and I really love it. And I feel like, I don't know, I had to like release the Rider-Waite that I had been using for so long and then get something that's like way more in tune with my energy, I suppose I would say.
I think that's cool. Yeah. It's like just on the last podcast, we talked about letting go of the old and bringing in the new. So that's really cool that, you know, once you finally let go of the old, the new was ready to take its place.
Yeah, that is pretty neat. Yeah, that's definitely how I felt about it.
Awesome. Are there any times where you went to an event or a venue or anything like that and the tarot scared people off, or maybe it wasn't welcome there?
Honestly, no. I think that I think my energy and just like the way that I present myself is pretty inviting and kind of like warms people up. Like people, for the most part, even people who are totally freaked out by tarot, when they see that like I use it and I practice it, they kind of want to know, you know, a little more about it, what got me interested in it. Because I pass as a normal person somewhat. You got to like talk to me for a while to figure out how weird I am. But yeah, people, I feel like I invite them in. I've had like a couple people tell me that they think it's like devil stuff and all that, but then they also spend like 45 minutes talking to me and feel comfortable with me enough to do that, to like let me share my views on it. But yeah, I haven't had any like super nasty experiences or anything.
That's good. Yeah, I was just curious because, you know, if somebody gets a tarot deck for the first time and they really enjoy it and they want to go out, you know, want to make sure that they go out into the right spot. Do you think there are any places maybe it might be not a good idea to bust out the tarot cards in?
I guess I would say probably a church. I don't really go to many churches, but I would assume that would be, you know, maybe you got to ask first before doing something like that. I would say, yeah, church, maybe like schools. I don't know. It could like get weird and religious or something. Yeah. I don't know. Cool. Probably places I want to go.
Cool. You never know.
Yeah, you're right.
I really appreciate the tarot. You know, Shannon, she uses, I think, oracle cards, but it's kind of similar. What's the difference between an oracle and a tarot deck?
I would say I think a lot of people prefer oracle decks, or at least people that I've talked to have said that they like the imagery better. It's a little less scary, less intimidating. So it would be good for someone who's like really, really petrified of tarot cards and pulling a bad card, because that's totally a thing. There's people who are like, oh my God, what if I pull the death card? What if I do this? And it like totally freaks them out. So with oracle decks, like, some have, spooky stuff, but for the most part, like, oracle decks are really peaceful looking, have like pretty imagery, calming, and all the cards are really insightful and helpful and not so much, negative. So I think a lot of people like it for that. I actually have a bunch of oracle decks too. I really like them as well. I think a lot of the time they contain way more spiritual messages, like directly spiritual. They might have cards based on lucid dreaming or talking to animal spirits. So things like that, whereas I feel like tarot is pretty grounded in the real world on Earth, on like human physical experiences. I think I've noticed more of like a spiritual, new agey vibe to oracle decks.
Okay, I got it. And so for you, what's your process like when you do a reading? Is there any kind of specific spread or shape that you make with the cards when you draw them?
It depends on what I'm doing. For new moon readings that I do, I draw 5 different cards. Each of the cards either represents something I want to be releasing, something to keep doing, something coming into my life, a lesson to be learning. I usually kind of make them as I go, and I'll kind of make the questions based around the zodiac sign of whatever like the moon is in. So I'll do bigger spreads for new moons and full moons. I like to pull a card for my Thoth deck and a card from my Deviant Moon deck in the beginning of the week, and then just based on like what 2 cards I get, I kind of interpret an answer or an energy or some kind of advice that those cards are trying to tell me for that week. And then I do things like that with astrological transits as well. So pulling a card from each deck and interpreting something from that. Yeah.
Do you have any decks around you right now?
I have 16 decks around me right now.
They're all around you in a circle?
They're like on me or next to me on a shelf. Yeah.
Would you be interested in doing like a really quick reading for the podcast?
Sure. All right. So I'm going to be using the Deviant Moon Tarot deck by Patrick Valenza, and I love this deck. I've heard people talk about seeing personalities in decks before, and I never really experienced that until this one. Ooh. But yeah, it definitely has this funny, mischievous, jumpy energy to it. I have cards just jump from the deck all the time. When I shuffle it, I don't know, it like likes to talk to me. It's interesting. I've never experienced that with something else.
So jumping cards is a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if a card jumps from the deck, read that card and don't put it back. It's very important.
Okay.
That's what I've noticed.
Good to know.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna pull one card, and it will be a message to anyone listening to this podcast.
Excellent.
Ooh. All right. So, I cleanse this deck of all past attachments. I charge you with clarity, accuracy, and the intention to provide a message to everyone listening to Project Bring Me to Life at this moment.
Yes.
So I am shuffling.
It's the day after the super blue blood moon as we're recording this too.
It is, yeah. Did you do anything nice for the full moon? Any kind of cool rituals?
Yeah, we had a little ritual, just kind of cleansing things, and we put some of the big crystals out in the moonlight, and just really we worked hard on stuff. Actually, we were working pretty hard. Try to relax at the end of the night, but did a ritual and put out crystals, and it was a good day.
Awesome. That sounds really great.
Yeah, hope you had a good one.
Yeah, I spent time with some close friends. I journaled a lot about things that I want to release within myself, the type of person that I want to be, and how I can get closer to attaining my goals, and what needs to change to get me to that point. But and then I wrote down a wish on a bay leaf, and I set it on fire.
Cool.
So,
a bay leaf?
A bay leaf, yeah. So it's pretty commonly used by witches and wizards to grant wishes. So you write down your wish on one, and then you set it on fire.
Oh. I did not know that before.
Yeah, I think bay leaves and psychic brews, too, are a popular thing. So if you want to increase your psychic powers, you can make a tea out of bay leaves and some other cool stuff.
Yeah, I guess I don't really think about bay leaves too often, but I'm going to start looking into them now.
Sweet. Awesome. So we got a great card for this reading. We pulled the Empress. So the Empress is a card in the Major Arcana. She's represented by the number 3. The Empress, I always see her as just this total perfection of creativity and beauty. When I pull this card, I like to tell myself that I'm expressing compassion and love in all areas of life, so that I'm in total connection with my creativity and my spirituality, and that my cup is overflowing to grant me blessings and comfortability and luxury in life. So I think the Empress is a really good sign for anyone who's, feels like they might have been out of touch with their creativity lately. You can kind of meditate on this card and think about what you want, how you feel like her energy could affect you on a stronger level. I like this card a lot. It's good. I pulled it for a friend last night too, for a full moon reading, so that's kind of neat that it popped up again. Cool. I noticed that when I give readings on full moons, I'll usually get like 1 or 2 cards that keep popping up for people over and over and over again. And I kind of feel like it means that a lot of people are being impacted by a certain kind of energy at this time.
Definitely, yeah. So. I know Sarah Hall, she does readings on her show sometimes, and there's, more often than not, there's like a theme going on between the people and the readings.
Yeah, that's always what I notice when I give a bunch of readings back to back on a particular day. There's, I don't know, pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool. It really brings to mind that, everything that happens on a micro level or a macro level will, happen on the other levels. It's like everything will affect like something else. It's kind of crazy to think about.
It is crazy.
Awesome. Whoa. Thanks for the reading.
You're welcome.
I'm glad we got a good card and not that card with like 10 swords stuck in us.
Yeah, that would have sucked. I would have felt really bad. Something else I like to do during readings, I recently was taught this trick by a fellow tarot reader, Mary Shaw. She's really awesome. But looking at the bottom of the deck for just like extra information about something. So at the bottom of this deck is death. And a lot of people are really afraid of that card because, we as a society are afraid of dying. We don't really know what's going to happen. A lot of people are afraid of that unknown. But in tarot, it's really about rebirth and transformation. I like to think about the caterpillar becoming the butterfly. So in relation to the Empress and this creative, loving person, I would say to those listening to this, what do you think you could change or transform within yourself to be closer to this loving and compassionate creative, awesome being. What needs to go? What is holding yourself? What do you think is holding you back from being your true self and your highest self? So yeah, I think that's like the full reading.
Awesome. I love that. It's a good question to have. I feel like creativity is going to be a big thing this year. A lot of people, I think, are kind of waking up to their creative, awesome selves, and it's good to see. So I'm glad that you got that on your reading.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you coming on the podcast and talking about tarot and witchcraft and all those things. It's been a really fun interview, and I'm grateful for having you on here.
Thank you for having me. It's super fun to do this. You're a delight to talk to.
Thank you. So if people want to find more information about you, I know you got an Instagram. Where can people find you at on the internet?
So on Instagram, I think that's like probably what I try to be most active on. My Instagram handle is at Kaitlyn Furey. That's KAITLYNFUREY. I'm also on Facebook, but I would say I don't post a lot of tarot stuff too much on there anymore. I found there's a lot of creepers on Facebook, whereas with Instagram, I feel like I'm connecting a lot stronger with just people who are like spiritually in tune and trying to discover more. Whereas unfortunately on Facebook, I've gotten a lot of people trying to like buy tarot readings, basically to spend time with me and not really caring about anything else.
Yeah,
but
that might happen a lot. Like, what do you do to block out those, that kind of unwanted energy from people if they want a reading, and you obviously is like, the energy is not the best for me right now. What kind of tips do you have for people who want to get away from that?
I would say being clear about your feelings and being clear when someone's making you uncomfortable. I definitely, for a long time, I was afraid of seeming too mean or hurting someone's feelings. But a lot of people don't realize that their behavior is making people uncomfortable because we're not clear about our feelings. So it can suck to have to just be a bitch for a second. But I've learned it kind of just makes things better for everyone. And if someone still doesn't get it and is still making you uncomfortable after that, you just block them and call it a day. But
don't let it get to you too much.
Yeah. But I usually just say I only do online sessions for people that I've never personally met. So that would be over the phone or on video chat. And if someone's not interested in that, whatever. Yeah. We don't need to meet in person.
Right. Yeah, that's important. You don't have to give a reading to everybody that asks for it. You got to make sure that you're comfortable too.
Yeah, that's super important.
Cool. Well, besides, you were going to say Facebook. Do you have is it a personal profile or a page?
Yeah, it's a personal profile. So, you can add me on there and maybe I'll accept it. I don't know.
Cool.
but Kaitlyn Furey
Instagram,
is my Facebook.
Instagram's the best.
And Instagram is the best. Okay. And you can also email me at Kaitlyn Furey Tarot. That's TAROT @gmail.com. So Instagram and email would probably be the best bet.
Cool. All right. Awesome. Thank you so much for being on here. I hope you have a great year, and just thanks so much again for being on the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
Thanks for shining on with us.